Change Your POV podcast is about building confidence in your own beliefs, morals, and opinions while challenging yourself to be open, humble, and curious about things that you are unfamiliar with, don't have experience in, or straight up disagree with.
We will explore concepts and ideas that will challenge you physically, mentally, and spiritually. Personal introspection is among the greatest skill sets you will learn to hone. The foundation of your success is rooted in trust, gratitude, and forgiveness.
So join us as we explore things that we are unfamiliar with, strengthen things that we are, and are always challenging ourselves to become better.
Change Your POV podcast, where perspective is the vantage point of success.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Welcome back. This is our post episode after our rant episode last week.
Which, yeah, it was a rant, but I think it went over well.
I thought it was a good rant.
Yeah.
It was
sometimes we need to do that ranting.
What do you call it? A rabbit hole with a purpose?
Yeah, right. Something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. So today we were not finishing up the book. We've got 2 more weeks basically, but we're getting close to the end. This week is Chapter 9, Plan, and Chapter 10, Leading Up and Down the Chain of Command. So we've both read this book. I've actually listened to the book and read the book a couple of times, and every time I do, I get something out of it, something different out of it. And I think that's the beauty of any good content is you can consume it multiple times, and it really depends on what you have going on in your life at the time or experiences that you've had since the last time you read it. You read it again, and it's like it means there's different meanings or there's different takeaways that you find in the book, which I think is valuable.
Agreed.
So I know I mentioned it already. So we've got the book club at work that we go through this, and in my book I got like highlight, underlined, dog ears, and my folks my directs that are in the book club with me, they're like. They're younger. They're more of the millennial age, and they like see that I'm marking up my book, and they cringe. They're like, "Oh my God, you marking your book?"
Like, oh my God!
I'm like, "Yeah."
Why is that a thing, though?
I don't know. Both of them, they just do not appreciate the marking, writing, highlighting, dog earing of a book. They feel it's a desecration of the book.
Oh, stop!
Yeah, I don't believe that myself.
I don't understand. I just don't understand that.
I don't either.
How are you supposed to remember stuff? I mean, it's
right.
It's a. I mean, if it's some like rare book,
yeah, right.
Some kind of fucking treasure.
Well, I mean, it's not like I didn't get it from the library. I get it. Like,
right,
if you're
it's your book. Like, I own it.
Right.
Like, I'm able to do this shit to it if I want.
Right.
So I don't understand. That's whatever. It is what it is. I just don't. I don't get it.
Chapter.
I don't think they know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how else you read a book. I mean, I've read many books and have never felt the need to highlight or underline or anything like that. But when you're reading a book, because this book is more like a user guide that you can.
It's a reference. It's like a reference guide.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I think so. So we just started. It's part 3, Sustaining Victory, Chapter 9, Plan, Ramadi, Iraq hostage rescue. So I'm going to read a little bit of this, just kind of acclimate everybody here. And who doesn't like when Eddie reads to them? Right? It's like a bedtime story.
I love it.
They have IEDs buried in the yard and bunkered machine gun positions in the house, said the intelligence officer with grave look of concern. It was a hostage rescue mission, the ultimate high-stakes operation. Not only bad guys to kill, but an innocent victim to save. We had trained for missions like this, but they were rare. Now, Task Unit Bruiser had the opportunity to execute such an operation for real. A young Iraqi teenager, the nephew of an Iraqi police colonel, had been kidnapped by the Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group. They demanded his family pay $50,000 ransom and threatened to behead the young man otherwise. Kidnappings and beheadings were common occasions in Ramadi and Abnar province in those days. And I gotta tell you, that is so true, not just in the Ramadi, but in the whole of Iraq around that time, 2004, 2005, 2006 time frame. And I'm sure it's still a thing today, but back then, man, it seemed like every other time we're rolling out of the gate, before we'd roll out, we'd go get our mission brief, mission statement, and we'd get a BOLO list, be on the lookout for like different vehicles, different suspicious people, activities. We'd get intel reports of, potential VBIEDs in the area, what vehicles they may be in. So we'd get this before every mission, and it never failed. Almost every single time before we'd roll out, there would always be reports of kidnappings, and for many different reasons. Right at the time when I was there, they were trying to have their first official election post Saddam Hussein's regime, and they were in the process of doing interim elections to kind of identify an interim government. And at that time, there was a lot of hostages and assassinations and things like that. So it was, a very different world than what we live today. It's like shit that you would only hear of or see in movies, but it's like it really happened over there. Anyway, so often hostages were tortured or killed, even if the family paid the ransom. And $50,000 ransom, I mean, that's a lot of money for
it's a lot of dinars.
It is for Iraq. I don't know what the actual conversion rate is today or what it was back then, but
it's a lot.
$50,000 is a lot of money for any Iraqi, and I'm assuming this 50,000 U.S. currency that they're talking about here, because that's really the government was so unstable. Like most of their currency that they had at the time still had Saddam Hussein's picture on it, and now he's gone, and a lot of people didn't value that currency, but they didn't have anything else to replace it, so it was all they were left with. So U.S. currency was highly valued when we were there. Anyway, so these terrorists, kidnappers were evil people, plain and simple. They could be counted on to carry out the gruesome threats. So basically, if they're going to threaten, they aren't chicken shits. They will follow through with their threats for sure. For Task Unit Bruiser, there was no time to waste. We needed to put together a plan in a hurry, brief that plan to our troops, and launch as soon as possible. Our intelligence indicated the hostage location was a house on the outskirts of Ramadi suburb. The roads into the area were heavily IED'd, and that's roadside bombs for those that are playing at home, and the threat extremely high. It was dangerous enemy-controlled neighborhood, but there were the hostage and the bad guys who held him were believed to be, and we had to figure out the best way in and out of the area. Our plan had to maximize the chance of mission success while maintaining the risk to our assault force of SEALs, EOD, bomb technicians, and our partner force of Iraqi soldiers, or minimize the risk is what I meant to say. So that's really basically what a plan is, and then how do you execute it? So Task Unit Bruiser had an intelligence department of a dozen SEAL and non-SEAL support personnel. At the head of Bruiser's intel shop was a young ensign, the most junior officer rank in the Navy, recently graduated.
Second Lieutenant Butterbar.
Yeah, Butterbar, exactly.
In reference. Recently
graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy, which is, the Army's equivalent of is West Point, right? He wasn't a SEAL. His specialty was intelligence. So imagine this, newly graduated Naval Academy Butterbar that's in the intelligence field. Now, this is the guy on the ground.
It's like the perfect storm.
Right, yeah. And I'm sure...
awaiting a shit show.
I'm sure he got a lot of ribbing.
Oh, my God.
He was...
Didn't they call... What was his name? Didn't they call him Butters?
They did, Butters.
Right. Because everyone gets a fucking nickname.
Yes, especially, new guys like that. He was new and inexperienced, but he was smart, hardworking, and highly motivated. In defense to his character from the Comedy Central South Park cartoon series, we nicknamed this young intelligence officer Butters. Butters and his team of intelligence specialists data mined hundreds of reports and gathered as much information as they could to help facilitate our planning. Meanwhile, we had Task Unit Bruiser SEALs set about putting together the plan. Now, real quick story. So, I mentioned before about our company talk, or Tactical Operations Center. Well, every element or every echelon of command has their own talk. And the FOB, or Forward Operating Base, that we were operating out of, was also home to the brigade talk. So the brigade commander and sergeant major and the brigade elements were, domiciled on our FOB as well. So the brigade talk was on our FOB. And there was a lot of guys that I worked with in the field artillery that were part of the brigade talk. Now, I had multiple occasions where I was a member of the brigade talks. When my first duty station in Fort Hood and 4th Infantry Division, I was a member of the 1st Brigade Combat Team Tactical Operations Center with 4th Battalion, 42nd Field Artillery. And that was my first experience of a talk environment. And wow, let me tell you, it was a lot to take in. And it's one of those things where if you start, they call them talk bitches, right? If you're trained and you end up being a good talk bitch, then somehow that tends to kind of follow you throughout your military career.
Somehow that just tends to be where you...
Yeah, right. And so I finally got away from the talk and ended up down on the line, as a Colt.
You just got to get that one good fuck up in.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Where they're like, yeah, don't fucking put that guy in here again.
Well, it was funny because I was a private, right? And when I was my first talk experience, I was a private. And the entrance to leading into the talk, the talk is basically a series of tents that are all connected together. And once it's like a tent city. And once you walk into that tent, you got maps on the board, you got lights above hanging from the ceiling, there's extension cords everywhere, you got generators running, there's a huge camo net over the top of everything. It's a city unto itself. But leading into it, there was like the sign, there was like a wooden sign that said 1st Brigade Combat Team Tactical Operations Center, whatever. And then there was like a bucket of water with a brush, and then those like boot brush things where you stand in them. There's like brushes on either side.
Scrape your feet.
And you scrape your feet. Right. So here I am, Private Lasry, and I'm scraping my feet in this thing. And somebody, because it was like muddy outside, and I didn't want to like track it into the talk, because there's like, it's like a huge plastic tarp that's on the floor of the talk. So I'm scraping my feet, and some like Sergeant First Class walks by. He's like, hey, Private, what are you doing? I'm like, cleaning out my boots, Sergeant. And he's like, we don't use that shit. That's for show. And I'm like, what? So that was my first experience of what we called the dog and pony show, where we set shit up just for the sake of them being there, but we don't actually use them. So yeah, we weren't allowed to use.
Don't
the
dirty that up. We gotta clean it if you do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the
so fucked up.
That's the stupid shit I just never could understand at all, ever.
It's all for show, baby.
One more talk
Smoke
story
and mirrors.
One more talk story, so you'll love this. In my 10 years in the Army, I had the pleasure of attending deployment at NTC, the National Training Center, Fort Irwin, California, in the Mojave Desert.
Oh, God.
One of those early deployments was, again,
California dreaming, baby.
In a talk. So I think I was a specialist at the time. During this deployment, I was in the brigade talk. And setting up talk operations, it's called jump talk, right? So you collapse everything, put it, and then you got to move your talk and then set everything back up.
Right, so you don't get all fucked up.
Right.
Because they'll blow your shit up at
yes.
NTC.
Yeah, so if you're
And then your talk is fucking dead.
Yes, if your talk is in the same location for a certain period of time without jumping it to a new location, then the OCs or observer controllers, they will fucking kill you.
They'll fuck you up.
Right.
They'll mortar attack you.
Now, mind you,
mortar attack.
They have NTC. They have a rotate. It's a brigade-sized element typically that rotates through NTC, right? But NTC isn't only utilized by the Army. There's other elements there at the time, and I got 2 talk stories. So anyway, one day we were sleeping, and when you're a talk bitch, you got to be creative about where you sleep. Sometimes you sleep on like the ramp of your vehicle, or you sleep somewhere else inside the vehicle, or you've got a little made tent somewhere else outside to talk, but inside the perimeter. But anyway, one day, like all the talk guys went to sleep, and we woke up the next morning, and everyone had this red fucking marker line on their neck. Right? It was like a red Sharpie marker line across everyone's neck. And we're like, what the fuck is this all about, right?
You're all dead, motherfuckers.
Well, we finally
got bored.
Well, we got done with that rotation, and it turns out there was a contingent of a SEAL team that were operating in our space. I think they had like their own mission, and I think their mission was like to fuck us up.
Right. Some cute... Some fucking Red Force motherfuckers.
Yes. So I don't know for certain, but the rumor has it that our throats were slit in the middle of our sleep by a contingent of it. So who knows? It could have been Jocko and Leif that had snuck into our. I did not, however, end up with a red marker across my neck, but there was plenty of people. Let me tell you.
It's because you slept with your M4 across your neck.
It was funny because, like, the next day, it was a somber day because everyone, like captains and above, you could tell they scrubbed the shit out of their neck.
What the fuck is on your neck, Captain?
They scrubbed the shit, and they just like they were.
Could you see him walking into like the sergeant major's office in the morning? Sergeant major would be like, "Sir, what the fuck is that on your neck?"
It was hot as hell, and people wearing gaiters and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, because for those that don't know, I mean that you have to know, sergeant majors talk to anyone like below the rank of major as like they're a private.
Yeah,
they just add "sir" onto everything. Right. So I could just hear the sergeant major. Captain, what the fuck is on your neck, sir? I can totally hear it.
Did you get a hickey last night? What's that? What's that red mark all over your neck?
What's fucking going on? What's going on in the tent over there?
Yeah. So the Joes thought it was funny, but all of the senior NCOs and officers were not thrilled.
Yeah, because they got their fucking necks sliced.
Exactly. Yes.
So,
needless to say, those that were on patrol guard that night got in a bit of hot water.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're, that's some enemy in the wire shit.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're patrolling the interior. Right. I mean, did you guys have, patrols inside the interior?
Well, there was like a concertina wire, like a strand of concertina wire all the way around the perimeter of the talk. With a couple of entrances. There was supposed to be that's fucking but it was like one strand of concertina wire. If you really wanted to jump over it, like you're getting over it. You know what I mean?
That's really fucking funny, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hilarious.
All right, so listen to this.
Yeah.
Just listen.
Oh, your dog's in the house.
Really? What the fuck?
Sound like your dog was wet. It just shook off.
She wants to go outside.
Oh, better let her out, man. You're gonna have a mess to clean up.
Yeah, I'll let her out, and then I'll tell a talk story.
Okay. Wow, the hell was that? So I am, while he's letting the dog out, and then come back and hear another talk story. I'll just read a little bit of this for the listeners. So Task Unit Bruiser had an intelligence department of 12 SEAL and non-SEAL support personnel. I think we already covered that. Let's see where I left off. Oh, yes. So Butters was not a SEAL. His specialty was intelligence. He was the new, inexperienced, but he was smart, hardworking, and highly motivated. In defense of his character. Oh, yeah, we already read that. Okay, let's jump down. All right. So as Charlie Platoon Commander, I would serve... Now, this is Leif talking here. As Charlie Platoon Commander, I would serve as an assault force commander for more than 12 SEALs and EOD technicians and 15 Iraqi soldiers who would enter and clear the house. Jocko, as the Task Unit Bruiser Commander, would be the ground force commander with responsibility for command and control of all assets, because he would be back in the talk, not getting his throat slit by a red Sharpie marker.
That's amazing.
Yes. So we're going to pause the book right there and let Bennett jump in and tell his talk story.
Well, the only talk stories that I have, actually, just because I feel like we need a different perspective, is I never played like brigade or even battalion talk. I mean, I guess battalion talk happened, but I wasn't ever in Iraq, right? Mm-hmm. So, two separate things, two separate times. Back in the 90s, my unit was part of what's called JTF-6 now. And we did counter-drug operations, right? Mm-hmm. So I was a very young Lance Corporal, and we had a talk set up in a barracks. It was basically, we took up like 2 barracks rooms, mm-hmm. right? And we were raiding mobile meth labs and burning down pot fields in California, right?
Not training like legit.
No, like legit.
Yeah, got it.
So we were out. At any given time, we had 2 platoons out, or 2 teams of recon Marines out patrolling through the National Forest. Mm-hmm. Either on, setting up time on target to either, bring the National Forest Service, and I think it was DEA, but sometimes you never know with those, lettered organizations within the government.
Right.
To either cut down fields, burn them up, whatever, or if they for some reason, and I don't know why this is, and I never really knew, they would, and I think it was Mexican cartels at the time, would come in and literally set up shop inside National Forest land and grow. The largest plot we ever came up on, it was like a half acre of
Holy
weed.
Shit. Wow.
Yeah, like a lot.
That takes some time and effort.
Yeah, with like PVC irrigation system set up. Some of them had dogs.
Wow.
That they would put out on chains, like big ass, mean ass pit bulls and stuff. It was really weird. Like, I never understood why the fuck they would do that. Mm-hmm. Like, I get it out, and I guess maybe because it's remote land.
Yeah.
And they're like, nobody's going to fucking ever come across this.
Right.
Because you're literally miles off of, like, a trailhead. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's no trails. There's no foot traffic. I guess that's what it is. But we would fly through the air in Blackhawks, and you can see it. It's because it's just a different type of green.
Yeah.
So, two ways that we had. So we had 2 separate entities that had to do commo stuff, right? So you had the TOC, obviously, which was the brain of the whole operation. But then we had there, because it was very mountainous, we had to have a relay site. And literally it was a team of guys up on top of a mountain relaying messages from one valley to another, right? Because comms were just a little different. They weren't as good as they are now.
Right.
So I just remember being this young Lance Corporal having we had what were called DCTs, which was basically texting before cell phones.
Oh, okay.
So it was texting with radio burst transmissions. But it kind of had like a shorthand sort of language to it.
It's kind of like a Morse code type of thing.
Yeah, but not. I mean, it had an actual screen. So it was the size of like
read it.
Yeah, it was like the size of a tablet, but it was
Okay.
like, like 2 inches thick. It was huge.
No, like
It was
state
like
of the
a
art
fucking,
at the time, right?
it was almost, state of the art, and it was like a speak and spell. You remember those fucking things?
Yeah.
Had a screen, maybe like 2 speak and spell screens.
That's crazy.
And we're supposed to relay transmissions through this fucking thing from DCT to DCT, and then we would retransmit
and it
from
probably
the relay site to the thing. And it was a fucking shit show.
It probably didn't have like a full keyboard. It was like you got to push the
that's what
one
I said.
button
It
like
was
3
weird,
times.
like shorthand. It was like a fucking. It did have a full keyboard, but it was so weird.
Oh.
And I say it was like shorthand. It reminded me of trying to sit, like watching a court reporter.
Oh yeah, right.
Sit there and transcribe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So fuck. It was. That's my story. It really is nothing big.
So how come you couldn't use radios? Why'd you have to use these stupid things?
Oh man, who the fuck knows? Because they wanted it all encrypted. It was like, we had crypto gear, but the crypto gear was as big as the fucking radio that we were carrying.
Wow.
These things were giant. I mean, it's 94, man.
You had a prick 87 radio. That
We
was
had
like,
a prick. Actually, I think we were using prick 104s.
Jesus, like 400 pounds.
With the crypto, which is just as big. And I don't remember the prick, whatever the fucking crypto was, like a 68 or something.
Yeah.
And the crypto was the same size as the fucking radio. And then we had to set up this giant antenna array, like on the ground.
Like a little 254.
No. You know how, like, we literally would, like, throw the canteen over the fucking... Do you remember? I mean, you remember that shit. You were in back...
Yeah.
When we'd have to, like, throw, like, with a prick 77.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was the same type of thing, but it was a huge antenna.
Ugh,
because we had to,
Yeah.
we were up on top of this fucking mountain. So we had to be able to get transmissions from everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And the problem was that was close to a trail.
Oh.
So we had to, like, be stealthy and shit.
Yeah.
Because we would literally, during the day, we would watch hikers.
That would be that's the recon side of Recon Marine?
Yes, that was the recon site. So it was like a little harbor site. We're sitting there being quiet as fuck. And we were uphill from this trail.
Can you imagine walking through some national forest in California?
People would shit themselves.
And all of a sudden you look over and there's some dude in camos, just eyes staring out of some fucking leafy patch, just looking at you.
And it did happen. It didn't happen to us, to my team. Didn't happen to our team, but it was close, very close. So this is the story from the relay site. So every day we'd watch hikers. I mean, you could hear them from forever away.
Yeah.
Right? We'd have one guy that literally would sit like on an LPOP, and he would, like, we would, like, click our radio a couple times, like, hey, somebody's coming, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, everybody shut the fuck up.
All right.
And because we could see them coming from, like, literally a mile away.
Like, put your cigarettes out, right?
Right. They would have to walk by, and they would come within, like, I don't know, it was like 50 meters of our position.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, somehow, now, needless to say, the antenna was so big, but we had it buried. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Part of it had to go under the trail.
Oh, shit.
Right? It was about 3 feet down, but it just had to. If we didn't have that part, it was, of course, in perfect Marine Corps fucking fashion, if that part wasn't there, that, like, 6 foot stretch, we'd only be able to get, like, 2/3 of our transmissions.
Damn.
It was so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, What the fuck? Like, really? We can't think of anything better?
Right, let's stick
Like,
this.
we have satellite we have satellite communications. We have all this shit at our disposal, I mean, that we didn't. It's not like we were part of SOCOM. If we were part of SOCOM, we'd have the fucking funding.
Yeah.
But that's part of the deal. Anyway. Somehow, over the weeks that this fucking thing had been buried, it came to the top. And this fucking hiker sees it.
Yeah.
And starts pulling on it.
Oh, no. Like, I wonder what this is.
What the fuck is this? Like, they start pulling it up, and it's unburied.
Let's see what's on the other end of whatever
cable.
This is.
So, and this is really funny. So, my team leader grabs the hand mic.
Yeah.
Because we had a hand mic attached to it, and he fucking keys it.
Oh, no. You fucking shocked the shit out of the guy.
It fucking hit her. I mean, it's not a ton of voltage, but it's not comfortable either.
No, yeah. Totally get it. Yep.
And it zapped her. She drops the thing, goes, ah, you know, fucking scream a little bit. And then you hear her, I don't know, boyfriend or husband or whatever go, I told you not to touch it. Told you not to touch that. And that was it, man. And then they walked the fuck away. There was no like investigation or anything. Like my ass went on following that thing to the fucking, you know,
right
to the get go.
Oh God!
But I also So that was pretty funny.
That's the kind of thing that like alien stories are made from, right?
Oh yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like ghost stories, all that shit.
Yeah.
She got zapped. I mean,
I was,
and we were fucking giggling. I had my head buried in my
laughing your ass off,
just laughing my ass off because you hear ah, and it's like you got to have your fun where you can.
Yeah. Well, I was getting something out of the back of my truck one day, and I grabbed a hold of the antenna on my Humvee. And right at that time, my gunner or driver, one of them, did like a combo check. Holy Jesus, man!
I swear,
Woo!
man.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to do that shit, just fucking with each other all the time.
Yeah.
You know, a lot.
Yeah.
God, Jesus, we did it a lot. Like we'd have like a long, you know, like the long whip antennas.
Yeah.
And you'd see a guy like bend it over and like put it on somebody's ear really fast and like tap it and. So fucked up.
You know that's got to be like not good for the body, but they're not going to tell you that.
Imagine the guy carrying that on his pack,
right,
on his back, and they're like keying the mic. Dude, he's just got to have cancer now.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like there's no like fuck. You know, like all right, so like if we know that. I mean, just the amount of radiation coming off of a cell phone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever know, and I know you never have, but if you read the pamphlet that comes with your cell phone.
No, I never read it. You're right.
Oh, it's like don't put it on your balls. Don't put it within like a certain distance of your skin. Like all this stuff because they know. Like if you hold this thing up to your ear, they know it's like racking your brain with stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of, you know how like women.
Because why would you do that? I mean, where else would a phone go?
I don't know. It's weird. But you know, like we have the big smartphones now, but remember the small flip phones? Mm-hmm. The Zoolander flip phones?
Oh, yes. I've had several versions of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't really have those anymore. But remember women would like tuck them in their bra, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, right. Right.
Well, there was all sorts of instances where women were getting breast cancer, and it would be right in that spot, like, and it would almost be like the growths or whatever would be the same size and like a rectangle
of the phone.
Wow. It's a real thing. You can look it up.
That's a PSA for all of our lady listeners out there.
It's just crazy. But think about how many times, like if you're driving, your cell phone goes in your lap.
Oh, yeah.
Your boys are getting radiated, man. The same thing was happening. I know there was a study done in the state of Connecticut. This is probably in the early 2000s, where there's being with like handheld radar detectors that cops were using, they would put them in their lap. Well, there was an exorbitant amount of testicular cancer.
Oh, shit.
Happening with the Connecticut Highway Patrol.
Wow.
Or Connecticut State Police. I don't know if they're Highway Patrol or State Police. I don't remember.
Wow.
But either way, yeah, man. Got to be careful. Got to be careful with this stuff. So anyway.
Electronics.
I don't know where this fucking...
So, I got
back to the book.
Well, I got one more talk story real quick. Because I was unfortunate enough to be a member of a brigade talk a couple of times in my career. So the same talk, I mean, different talk. I was in a different unit, but back at NTC, I was a specialist now at this point, and like I said, different brigade talk, but the concept's still the same. And so we're out at NTC, and we're setting up now the camo net that.
To interrupt you, hold on. So the red marker.
Yeah.
Did that happen at NTC or happen in Iraq?
No, at NTC.
Okay. That's what I was saying, because if that was like real world, that shit would have been even funnier.
Oh, no, that was NTC. And you know when you get done with NTC, you go back to like the tent city, right?
Ugh,
but
what the fuck?
But you have the option, you have the ability to kind of walk into to Irvin and go to like the Burger King or whatever.
Yeah,
to
you
get
can
some
go
food.
to Burger King and they have that barbecue joint. Yeah.
So we were there at Burger King getting some food.
Fucking Burger King.
And there was after we heard rumors that there are SEALs that were doing this, we didn't believe it.
They have tacos now.
Well, did they? They got tacos there now?
Burger King has tacos.
Oh. So we were standing in line at Burger King. I looked, and there was like 3 guys standing there with this in their uniforms with the what do you call that? The shield, the little Navy SEAL.
The trident.
The trident, yeah. And we're
Did they have red Sharpies in their fucking arm things? You know, where you can hold the pens in your arm.
No, they did not. But
that would have been awesome.
We heard the rumor, and then we saw them. We're like, okay, that's probably not rumor. That was probably like real.
That's what they should have done. If they were real hardcore fucking motherfuckers, they would have put the Sharpies in their arm holders, their pen holders,
right, and
walked around with that shit like a badge of honor. If they were real fucking SEALs, I'm just saying.
Yeah, they probably had them somewhere.
Get a good fuck you to everybody. Like, you guys are weak. Your shit's weak. And your guard mount sucks.
Right.
Your fire watch is on fucking, they were sleeping.
You're fucking dead.
You're all fucking dead, Captain. And in a brigade talk, did they get the colonel?
No, they did not, thank God.
Ooh, God. That would
I'm sure that was the target, but no.
Couple sergeant majors, maybe?
No, I think the highest rank I saw with a very red neck the next day was a major.
Ooh, fuck. That's still a good one.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you're clocking a freaking 04 with that shit. That's pretty good.
There was plenty of sergeant first classes, though.
Ooh, of course there was. Because that's there's more of those. It's like a lance corporal in the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. Sergeant first classes. I swear to Christ.
They had one sergeant
everywhere in the Army.
One sergeant first class. He had you could tell where he had rubbed his neck, but it was like brown. I think he used like coffee grounds or something.
What the fuck?
To rub it off. So anyway, we're at the talk, and we're setting up. And oh, by the way, the camo net that's used to go over the entire talk has its own trailer. That's how big this camo net is.
Jesus.
Yeah, and so you basically unhitch the trailer from the back of the Humvee, and you tip the tongue of the trailer up, and you dump the net out onto the ground. Is basically how you start to set this thing up. It's massive. It takes almost everybody in the talk to grab an end, and you got to set up the stupid poles with the little fan thing,
Yeah,
to kind of, you know what I mean?
Thing with the stuff. It's
Yeah.
pain in the balls.
So we're getting ready to we dump it out of the trailer, and we're kind of rounding up some people, and we go back over to start on the net, and we look right on top of the fucking net. There's this unexploded 155 round just sitting on top of the net. Because, this is NTC, but they have live fire, shit like that out there all the time. And I'll never forget, I actually remember the guy's name. His name was Rogers. He was a specialist. And the reason I remember his name, because we gave him the nickname Mr. Rogers, because he was just retarded. But he found this unexploded ordnance, like, outside the perimeter of our talk, and like dug the shit up and brought it back to the talk. Oh my
God!
And set it on top of the camo net, and it was
dumber than a box of rocks. That fucking guy.
Yeah, and he was going around like, "Hey, look what I found! Look what I found!" We're like, "What the fuck, man?"
Call EOD.
We did. So we had to they had to get like engineer tape to like mark it off around the net. I don't know why that was stupid, because everybody knew it was on the net, and then they posted guard to make sure nobody came near it. And meanwhile, everyone had to pack up everything, right? The talk was already like set up. We were just needed to put the net over everything. So now we had to unhook everything, jump talk like away from that area, get far enough away, and then EOD had to come in and actually blow it in place. Which meant that they blew up our fucking net.
Camo net.
Our camo net, yeah. That
this
great big
kid.
Yep.
Was he a private?
He's a specialist. What a moron.
Which is a private.
Yeah, basically. So the same guy,
let's call it what it is.
The same guy later in our, this was the IED was like the beginning, or the UXO, I should say. Unexploded orange. UXO was towards the beginning of our rotation. Well, towards the end of our rotation, we were all still out there, and in between, the 1065s, it's track vehicles that's got the generator on the front, which is kind of what you use for talk. Well, they're side by side, and somebody was walking by, and this guy was like in between the two tracked vehicles, with a 5 gallon jug of water. And if you undo the top of the water can, it's, I don't know, maybe a 4 or 5 inch hole.
Yeah.
Where you fill up the water into the can. Well, he was like, so the can was on the ground, and he was straddling the can, like, no trousers, no underwear, like naked, and he was like dipping his hand in there and like washing his balls, right? Like he was taking a bitch bath, but he was like dipping, like reaching in and grabbing water out of the 5 gallon can and like scrubbing his balls, right?
What the fuck?
And we're like, Rogers, what the fuck are you doing, man? He's like, oh, I just, thought I'd take a bitch bath. I'm like, bro, we're gonna have to. What was your plans to do with that 5 gallon can of water when you were done? Like, put the lid back on and throw it back on the track, like, so we could all drink your ball water now.
Your shitty ball water. Oh my
like,
God.
What the fuck? Like, what's running through your head? It's like,
the problem is, it's nothing.
It's like good initiative, bad judgment, right? This kid was just not right in the head, man. There was just
Why was he anywhere near the talk?
He was a member of the talk. He was a talk bitch along with the rest of us. But
he had to have been
put it this
runner,
way,
like a runner.
We got back from the NTC rotation. He was no longer a member of the talk.
Oh Jesus!
No,
fuck me.
No, I don't know where he went, but we never saw him again.
That's just awful.
Yeah, Rogers. Fucking Rogers.
He became an assistant cook.
Yeah.
Fucking attached to the chow hall. Which is even scarier, but that's where they make him a groundskeeper.
A groundskeeper, yeah.
Yeah, literally. Well,
no, like the permanent,
those guys that
permanent police call.
Fucking staff duty.
Yes.
The guys that are permanent fucking CQ.
Yeah.
On a rotation.
Yes.
Yeah, you get those guys, Fuck. And he's always out there with police call. Like, he's on police call so much, they actually bought him one of those arms, like the tongs, so he doesn't have to bend all the way down.
Yeah.
You know? And he's got this fucking high-speed PT belt that he wears when he does it.
With the apron, with the pocket.
Crisscross fucking...
Yeah.
The crisscross applesauce fucking road car vest. Because your ass is lawn maintenance.
Lawn maintenance.
Specialist. Specialist fucking Anderson.
Fucking Rogers.
Jeez. Yeah.
Rogers.
Captain America.
Captain America.
Fucking Steve Rogers.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're going to fast forward here because we haven't even talked about the other chapter yet. So at the end of the day, they go in and they rescue this hostage, right? But right before they go in, they get...
Impressive mission. It's an impressive mission.
It is, absolutely.
When you read the book, you're like, yeah, all right, I get it.
And the thing about it is right before they go in, they get new intel that said that there was buried IEDs at the entrance of the door and reinforced machine gun bunkers inside the building, right?
Like a machine gun bunker / nest.
And they end up going and executing the mission anyway, even with that new intelligence.
Well, people question why.
Right, they did. And when Leif and Jocko ended up going back to
the after action,
the States to become trainers, they actually ran a scenario in their kill houses to get the perspective of the trainees to say, what would you do if you get this new intel?
And people would change their entire fucking op order. They would literally change everything.
Yeah, and some you would even say they wouldn't go in at all. Some would change it. Some would say they would not.
No, well, I guess that bitch is gonna die.
Right, and I think the lesson there is Jocko's like, no, like the correct answer is, when are you ever on a mission where you shouldn't be expecting, IEDs at the door and a reinforced machine gun inside.
Thing like that's like Murphy's fucking law, man. I mean, we always know that the best laid plans, they're awesome until first contact.
Exactly.
And then everything goes to shit no matter what. And you can kind of go with the plan, but this goes back to the chapter on execution. It's just like, and I remember in the book Leif saying, no, like this is back at Tradoc. Mm-hmm. Right? Isn't that what it's called? Tradoc?
It's where, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the training element. So back at Tradoc, and he's like, no, you would never, I mean, what does it really, like if you analyze it, it doesn't change anything. Yeah, so you're still going to do your job the same way. Just don't let this new intel freak you the fuck out. It's just move on and execute. Be aware that it's going to happen, and hey, maybe bring an extra litter or something. Right? Yeah, right. Exactly. Because you might somebody might get really fucked up, and make sure that your QRF is on freaking point. It just gives you like license to reiterate everything that you've got planned. Is like every mission is a freaking mission. It's not, executing is executing. It's not about, this is going to be an easy mission. It should never be an easy mission, especially in that situation, right? And that's what they were basically saying. Yeah, and
so it says right here, so back in San Diego a year ago, I served as a leadership instructor at our SEAL Basic Training Command. I used this very scenario for a leadership decision-making exercise. To a classroom filled with newly promoted SEAL platoon commanders and platoon chiefs, I set up the scenario. Iraqi kid held hostage, known location, hostage rescue mission planned and ready to go. Just before launch, I told them the intelligence officer informs you there are IEDs buried in the yard and bunkered machine gun positions in the house. What do you do? There were varying degrees of combat experience among the participants in the room. One said, "Don't go," said one SEAL officer. "It's not worth the risk." Some in the room agreed. The platoon chief said, "Replan the mission." Several others agreed with him. I paused for a few moments to let them consider the options. "Let me ask you a question," I said to the class. "On what capture, kill, direct action raid can you be certain there are no IEDs buried in the yard or no bunkered machine gun positions in the house?" Heads shook around the room. The answer was obvious. None. You could never assume that such hazards weren't waiting for you on target. You had to assume that they were. You had to plan for them on every operation and mitigate the risk of those threats as much as possible. To assume otherwise was failure of leadership. That was the mission planning was all about. Never taking anything for granted, preparing for likely contingencies, and maximizing the chance of a mission success while maintaining the risk by minimizing the risk to the troops executing the operation. So, and that's really kind of the lessons of the plan is you in your planning process, and this applies to life, it applies to business, it applies to whatever you're doing, you should always plan for all of those contingencies to identify possible risks and work to mitigate them. Now, does the best plan in the world mitigate all the risk? Absolutely not. I mean, there's always going to be things that happen that you didn't foresee or you didn't plan for. But if you got a basic, solid plan, it will address most, if not all, contingencies, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and you can't go changing the plan for every little piece of intel. It doesn't.
Right, because then you get
forever because it's that. What is that? Analysis paralysis.
Yes, exactly. You end up in this plan, rehearse, iterative cycle.
Paralysis where
you never
if it's
execute.
Not perfect,
right?
You're not going to do it.
And I think, for entrepreneurs out there, you and I both have experienced this, both collectively together on projects that we worked on together, but also separately on projects that we worked on independently from each other. And that is, it's really easy to stay in this research, learn, plan loop, and then
never execute.
And never execute, right? Sometimes, what's the saying go? Sometimes the perfect plan executed too late is worthless. It's better to have a less than perfect plan executed now, right?
It's General Patton, and he basically says a good plan executed with whatever. I don't remember. It's a good plan executed today is better than a perfectly planned mission executed, a week from now or whatever.
Yeah,
something along those lines. But that was General Patton.
So I think there's a fine balance, right?
I mean, because it's tit for tat. It's potato. It's what is going to actually change. Let's be honest.
Yep.
And but I mean, you can always the two principles that I like to run on are KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Number one, and they even talk about this in the book. Have we talked about that yet, or is that like one of the last chapters?
It's simple. I think we've already.
Yeah.
We've already covered simple.
Seriously, keep it simple. Like, the more complex a mission, the more things will go wrong.
Right.
So keep it simple, and or the 5 Ps.
Yep.
Piss poor performance. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah.
And so plan, but you can't plan to ad nauseum.
Yeah.
You just have to. There's got to be a point when you execute, and saying whatever happens is going to happen, and have a couple contingencies. If this happens, then and usually that's ingrained in a team. So anyway.
And I like they actually, in the book, they offer a leader's checklist for planning should include the following. I'll just read through these.
Yes, very good.
The first one is analyze the mission. Understand higher headquarters mission, commander's intent, and end state, or what the goal is. Identify and state your own commander's intent and end state for specific missions. Number 2, identify personnel, assets, resources, and time available. Number 3, decentralize the planning process. Empower key leaders within the team to analyze possible courses of action. Number 4, determine a specific course of action. Lean towards selecting the simplest course of action and focus your efforts on the best course of action. Number 5, empower key leaders to develop the plan for the selected course of action. Number 6, plan for likely contingencies for each phase of the operation. Number 7, mitigate risks that can be controlled as much as possible. 8, delegate portions of the plan and a brief to key junior leaders. Stand back and be a tactical genius. Next is continually check and question the plan against emerging information to ensure it still fits within the situation. Next is brief the plan to all participants and supporting assets. Emphasize commander's intent. The reason why commander's intent is so important is because when shit hits the fan, as long as everybody is marching towards that commander's intent,
right,
the way you execute that may be different, but the end goal stays the same, right?
Absolutely.
Ask questions and engage in discussion and interaction with the team to ensure that they understand. Don't just say, and I've run into this in business where I've put out a directive and I ask the question, do you understand? On A's get head nods. Or just a simple one answer reply, yes.
Briefing is so
exactly.
crucial.
So now instead of saying, do you understand? I say, do you understand? They say yes. I say, okay, brief me what you're going to do next. And then it forces them to think about what their actions are going to be. And sometimes their thought process on what they think their task is or should be is different than what you had envisioned. So you can kind of, nope, that's not what I'm talking about this instead. So the last one is and this is important, conduct post-operational debrief after execution. Analyze lessons learned and implement them in future planning. If you don't do that after-action review, what we call AAR, then you're not going to be able to capture things that went well, and you're not going to capture things that could be improved on next time. Because at the end of the day, you cannot improve past behavior or past performance. You can only influence future behavior and future performance. But the only way to do that is to identify things that happened in the past to say, okay, with my team, I always talk about 3 sustains and 3 improves. Give me 3 things that you think we did well, we should keep next time, and give me 3 things that you think that we didn't do so well or we could improve on or do better next time. 3 sustains, 3 improves. Why 3 and 3? Because it's simple. Because everyone can come up with 1 and possibly 2. It's usually that third one is where you find the golden nuggets, because it forces people to really dig deep about what went well and what didn't go so well that can get better next time.
Right.
So that's really that's plan, man. That's that chapter there. And we're right at like 55 minutes, which is perfect. Gives us plenty enough time to get into the next chapter, which is leading up and down the chain of command. Now, for those non-military listeners out there, chain of command is really nothing more than a hierarchy or an echelon or levels of leadership, right? So you could have in the corporate world, you've got individual contributors. Then you have the next level up is probably supervisor, and then you've got, or perhaps you could even, depending on the size of your organization, you could have leads. So you could be an individual contributor, but you're a lead of a particular group or department. And then above that, you've got supervisors, and above that, you've got managers, and above that, you probably got different levels of managers, depending on the size of your organization again, to middle managers, senior managers, and then you move into directors. Now, technically, directors are managers of managers. That's what a director is. And then you've got different levels of directorates, perhaps, to from junior director to up to senior director, and then you start moving into your executive vice presidents, CEO, that type of thing. So that's kind of like the hierarchy within an organization. Some organizations are vertical. Vertical means that there's a lot of layers of hierarchy within an organization. Some organizations are flat, meaning that there are fewer levels of hierarchy within the organization, but also means that managers have more direct reports. So there's advantages and disadvantages to a vertical versus a flat or horizontal organization, and each company is going to be different, and and a lot of it serves their culture as well. Depending on what organization, I've been in organizations that were very hierarchical, very vertical, and in some organizations that are much flatter. I would say the military is probably the most vertical hierarchy I've ever seen, because everybody that wears a uniform has a rank on their collar that falls within a pecking order. And that's one of the first things that they teach you as a brand new private, is you could trace your chain of command from yourself all the way to the President of the United States.
Sometimes the chain of command isn't necessarily just based on rank, though. I mean, it is, but a lot of times it's based on billet as well.
Correct. That's correct.
So that's the only wrench that goes into that. So it's not necessarily a person, it's a position that is in your chain of command, and that could be filled sometimes, like, there's certain positions that could be filled by like a colonel, but there might be an interim person that's like a major.
Yeah, so we had...
And it just depends, really.
So, for an example, one of my units, we had a first sergeant that ended up leaving, going somewhere, and there wasn't an immediate first sergeant to backfill him, so they took like the senior sergeant first class in our
the senior
battalion,
platoon sergeant,
or in our battery. Yeah. And so that sergeant first class filled the billet of first sergeant, which meant that even though he technically was the same rank as other sergeant first classes or E7s, he outranked them because of the billet that he held, right?
Right, correct. So that's all. I just,
Yep. And so why is leading up and down the chain of command important? Now, I think there's an interesting concept that we're talking about here is how do you lead up the chain of command? So if I'm an individual contributor, does that mean I can lead my manager? If I'm a manager, does that mean I can lead my director, my boss? Or if I'm a director, does that mean that I can lead my boss who is a vice president? Like, a lot of people think that leadership is a downward activity and not a upward activity. And I think that's the biggest takeaway of this chapter 10 is leadership actually goes both up and down, but it also goes horizontally within the organization as well. And I think that's kind of the biggest takeaway I had from this. And they gave a lot of good examples in the book. I want to get into like the principle really quick, and then we can kind of discuss it. And I'd like to hear some of examples that you have real world, whether military or in the civilian experiences with regard to leading up and down the chain of command. So the principle is leading down the chain. Any good leader is immersed in the planning and execution of tasks, projects, and operations to move the team forward to a strategic goal. Such leaders possess insight into the bigger picture and why specific tasks need to be accomplished. This information does not automatically translate to subordinate leaders and the frontline troops. Junior members of the team, the tactical level operators, are rightly focused on their specific jobs they must be in order to accomplish the tactical mission. They do not need to know the knowledge and have the insight of their senior leaders, nor do the senior leaders need the intricate understanding of the tactical level operators' jobs. Still, so what does that mean? That means that my boss, he has a lot more knowledge than I do with regard to the bigger picture in the business. He doesn't know procurement, which is what I do in my day job. He doesn't, he understands the concept, but he doesn't know the tactical pieces of going into the system, of creating a purchase order, doing a goods receipt, doing goods receipt reversals if needed, applying invoices to the purchase order, etc. That's all very tactical. He doesn't know how to do that. Because he doesn't need to know how to do that. He's counting on me and he's paying me to know how to do those things. Same thing with the direct reports that report to me. I don't know everything that they do. I try to, but there's a lot of things that they do and they know how to do, and I rely and count on them to do that I don't know how to do myself.
Now let me interrupt. Now, you work for a pretty massive company.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, are you the only one that knows how to do your job?
Right now, yes, but I'm working on developing my directs and teaching them how to do my job. And that's, I think that is, because in the military, that is the job of an NCO, is to develop their people, because succession planning is a real thing in the military, right?
Right.
And it's it's executed very well. In the corporate world, not as much, or not so much.
And that's what that's why I was asking this, because I think this is a shortfalling of a lot of businesses.
I agree.
There's those choke points, right?
Yep.
Those funnels where a lot of times, we deal with it a lot, like with Battle Site.
Yeah.
And dealing with getting contracts done, So, like, the contracting space within the DoD is somewhat of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because you literally have different desks, right? Different desks do different things. And there's only one person on that desk for the whole Air Force.
Wow.
So, and so that's even within the military, but that side of it is run by civilians with oversight by commissioned officers. But yet you might have a desk that's filled by one person and nobody else can do that job.
Right.
So, like, you might have like, if that person goes on vacation, work
Then
just
nothing
piles
gets done.
up. Nothing
Yeah.
gets done. So that is, in my experience in the civilian world, that I'm not even going to say that it's the exception, because a lot it happens a lot.
Yeah, more times than not, right?
And people are like, until the shit really goes down, like, it's one thing to, like, people go on vacation for a week. Like, you can usually work around that, right? But, like, if they go, the times when you really see it is when they go out on, like, a medical leave. Like, they've had surgery or something. And then all of a sudden, your operation comes to a screeching halt.
Yep.
And you're like, why the fuck is it like this? And people don't understand. Plus, this is something I want veterans to understand, especially veterans in business, is that there is a phenomenon. It does happen in the military, but it happens a lot more in the civilian world, in business, where people protect their jobs.
Yeah. Well,
So-
they think they are.
They think they're protecting their jobs because they try to make themselves indispensable, like that they're not replaceable by keeping all the information in doing their jobs close to their chest.
Right.
And in all honesty, it actually hurts.
It's a reverse effect.
Yes.
Absolutely. I totally 100% agree. I've seen it time and time again. People that keep their knowledge close to the chest and are unwilling or unable to share that knowledge, those folks are, number one, I've always seen them they've always been replaced, right?
Right. Well, they're
Always.
working from a scarcity,
Right.
a place of scarcity, right? A place from that, instead of like an abundant mindset, they're mission oriented. They're coming from a scarcity, like security standpoint for themselves, but completely selfish, not in a team sense at all. I just wanted to
Because they think so they're taking their own self-interests as priority versus the needs of the company that they serve, right?
Yes, absolutely correct.
And it's like I have conversations with my directs, and I tell them, when they first came to my team, one in particular, I was like, my job is to teach you everything that I know so I can leave this job. And she's like, what, you're leaving? I'm like, no, but if an opportunity comes and I want to go and pursue a different job within the organization or something
heaven
like
forbid
that,
you have to take an extended leave.
Right, exactly.
Nobody's going to be able to do your job.
Right. It's my job.
Figure it the fuck out, kid.
Right. Because if I have to leave for an extended period of time, or I want an opportunity for a promotion or something like that, and I haven't positioned my team to be able to backfill me, if not permanent, at least on an interim basis, then I haven't done my job as a manager. So, and I think,
we know this in the military,
right?
Beyond belief, because how many times have you seen a squad leader get injured and they get medevaced, and now the next person in the chain, Sergeant so-and-so, team leader 1, becomes the fucking squad leader.
Yep. Well, I saw it real time in Iraq when our company commander got blown up by an IED, and our XO ended up,
So
ended up
like
taking over, right?
You have to be able to you have to be able to step into the person's role at least directly above you.
Yeah, and I think my rule of thumb when I was in the military is one level up, and this was taught to me. This wasn't a Lazary invention. I didn't make this up, right? It was taught to me by a senior NCO when I was just a junior enlisted, And I considered him one of my developmental mentors, and he gave me a lot of opportunities to succeed in the military, and I owe him a lot. And he told me, he said, every soldier should know 1 level up, 2 levels below their current position at all times. And if you don't know 1 level above and 2 levels below, then you're not doing your job, whatever position you are. So if you're a specialist, you should know that, E1, E2, and E3's job, and you should know that sergeant team chief's job. If you're a team chief, you should know that specialist and that PFC's job, as well as your squad leader's job.
And and moving laterally,
yes,
within an infantry platoon, everyone, which, I mean, I know that everyone gets training in basic infantry school, and when you do EIB workups and stuff, which is expert infantry workups and things, like everyone's taught how to use a 240, but let's be honest, not everyone's taught how to use a 50. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's taught how to use a Mark 19 necessarily.
Right.
I mean, they might be, but it's, if you don't do it all the time, you forget shit. Like, I mean, I had privates that had no idea how to do headspace and timing. Mm-hmm. And we had literally taught them 2 months prior, so.
There's a shout out to Dwayne France.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. Good job, Dwayne. Good job, Dwayne. So anyway, it's that lateral stuff. Like, you should know how to use the javelin.
Well, you should
know how
thing.
to use the weapon systems, even though we have somebody that's their job. Mm-hmm. You need to know, because if that person goes down, somebody's going to have to step in. And
here's a real world lesson of humility that I think saved lives, and that was before we deployed to Iraq in 2004. We were training up. We knew we were going to deploy. We had a deployment date, but we had probably 5-6 months to kind of train and get ready. And this was early. So this was before we have all of the data and knowledge now, because a lot of training and development and preparation for deployment today is based off of learned experiences from 15 plus years in sustained combat operations, right, in both Iraq and Afghanistan and other places around the world. But at the time in 2004, there really wasn't anything. So when we were training to go, we kind of had to make the shit up, because we didn't really. I mean, we heard of terms like IEDs and VBIEDs, but we didn't really understand what that meant in terms of when that shit goes off, the kind of damage and carnage and effects that it has to an element. And so this was a true story of pure humility. We had a medic, a senior medic that was assigned to our troop, and then junior medics. We had 2 medics, trained as actual medics. They were part of our troop, and we're getting ready to train. And our senior medic went to the company commander and said, "Sir, for those that you don't know, you've got actual medics that are classically trained as their MOS as a medic, but then you have combat lifesavers. So people that go to training to learn how to give IVs, how to stop bleeding. So it's not an actual medic, but it's like advanced first aid, I guess, is what you could call it. Combat lifesaver,
amazing,
right?
Skills to have, right?
Yeah, and we had a handful of combat lifesavers, and those were typically like sergeants. You typically were like an NCO or squad leader if you went to that class. And
I was a combat lifesaver in the Army.
Yeah. But at the time, not everyone was, right? It was just a handful of people that went to combat lifesaver training. Well,
you go see the combat lifesaver when you need a hangover remedy.
Right, yeah.
Hey, man, hook me up to one of those IVs.
Yes.
Just saying. Allegedly, that might have
Allegedly, yeah. Me too. So our senior medic, he went to our company commander and he said, "Sir, I think everyone in the troop should go through the combat lifesaver training." And the reason I say that is a huge move of humility is because he was basically saying, I may be good and I may know my stuff, but I may need help And I think it would be advantageous for everyone in the troop to go through combat lifesaver training, and I will set it up, I will coordinate it, and we'll get everybody through. And the company commander agreed. And I something that I know that this was something that actually saved lives of some of our guys in Iraq when we were there. So our entire troop went through combat lifesaver class, and we all got our combat lifesaver certification. And, even though we had these medics with us, they weren't always there when shit went down, when there was a casualty, when somebody needed, immediate action. And to wait, and I hate to say this, man, but there was a lot of casualties that rolled, because I told you that the building that we lived in on our fob, then down the hall was the aid station. So we had to not only live there, but we got to see every single casualty that came in, that was blown up, shot, whatever. And there was a lot of people that came in that had severe injuries and ended up dying of their wounds, that if there was somebody with them that had a little bit of extra knowledge in treating or providing care for them, basically if there was a combat lifesaver present at the time when they were out on the route when this shit happened, they would have probably have lived. But because nobody knew what they were doing, or they didn't know how to do different things, a lot of these guys ended up, losing too much blood and ended up, dying of their injuries, which was very, very sad to see. And we've had guys in our troop that should have been casualties, should have died of wounds, that ended up living because there was immediate actions performed. One of my counter squad leaders got hit by a Hezbollah platter charge IED that went through his truck and blew both of his legs off above the knee and filleted both of his arms. And because of the quick reaction of those guys in the section and in his truck to get him out onto the hood of the truck, get tourniquets around his legs, provide treatment and keep him focused and calm to try to prevent shock. Everything that they did, and they reacted. Imagine they got this guy, no legs, bleeding everywhere, on the hood of a truck, on the hood of a Humvee, with two guys on the hood of the Humvee with him, and the truck is screaming into our fob, 40, 50 miles an hour. And these guys are on the hood of the truck, keeping him alive. And, he ended up getting evacuated, went to Germany, was in an induced coma for like 30 days. And he's alive and doing really, really well today.
I mean, medical technology is just... that's made the job easier too.
Yes.
I mean, tourniquet technology. I mean, we're not the days of the belt around the leg.
Yeah.
It kind of changed. We had different tourniquets.
Well, I heard that
with quick clot.
Well, I heard that there were even the uniforms. I don't know how true this is, but I heard that a lot of the new uniforms actually have kind of like built-in tourniquets.
The internal tourniquets, right?
Right.
So you can self-apply them. Like
right.
I have two pairs of pants that are made by Blackhawk that have the tourniquet. It's like a tourniquet system within them. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but if I had to use it, it would work. I mean, I've tried it before, and it's not comfortable.
Right.
You're cutting off the blood flow to an extremity, but that type of stuff is, pretty cool.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of other things like fast casts and quick clot and things that'll help stop bleeding that we didn't have, 30 years ago, 50 years ago.
Right.
So that's why, I mean, a lot of people are still dying, but a lot of the people that would have died in Vietnam are not now. Like, they're just not.
Right,
So.
exactly. Yep. So back to the book. This is not an intuitive and never as obvious to the rank and file employees as leaders might assume. Leaders must routinely communicate with their team members to help them understand their role in the overall mission. Frontline leaders and troops can then connect the dots between what they do every day the day-to-day operations, and how that impacts the company's strategic goals. This understanding helps the team members prioritize their efforts in a rapidly changing dynamic environment that is leading down the chain of command. It requires roughly stepping out of the office and personally engaging in face-to-face conversations with direct reports and observing the frontline troops in action to understand their particular challenges and read them into the commander's intent. This enables the team to understand why they are doing what they are doing, which facilitates decentralized command in Chapter 8 that we talked about. As a leader, employing extreme ownership, if your team isn't doing what you need them to do, you first have to look at yourself. Rather than blame them for not seeing the strategic picture, you must figure out a way to better communicate to them in terms that are simple, clear, and concise, so that they understand. This is what leading down the chain of command is all about. And then it gets into, I won't read it, but it gets into leading up the chain of command. Now that takes a little bit more finesse, and it takes a little bit more strategic thinking when you are leading up the chain of command.
And tact.
And tact. Right?
But you also, good leaders let this happen.
Yes.
So they have a little humility, or they realize that they may not be the subject matter expert, and that's what the key is. So technically, a junior person may know more about, say, I'm trying to think of an instance. This is why you send people to schools, right? So This is why you have like master breachers, right? And that master breacher might be an E5. And the person in charge of the mission might be a colonel.
Right.
But this person's taking the lead on this part of this mission. Like, they are the go-to person. So you shall do what you say. So this is one of those things where it comes down to good leadership, allowing people to lead up. And that is the rule, right? You can always delegate your authority, but not your responsibility. So it is put upon a leader to also delegate his authority to that subordinate person.
Yeah. I think
right, and that's kind of what this whole book is about.
And I think you bring up a good point. Like, when I was in Korea, I was supporting light infantry, and I was an NCO. But we were out doing a field training exercise, a real-world training op, and we had a combat engineer with us that ended up setting a breach charge on some concertina wire. Now, when that, and he was only a E3, but he was trained. He knew what he was doing. And so when it got to that part of the mission where he had to go up to the obstacle and set this breaching charge, like, he was in charge. Even though there was, sergeants and staff sergeants and lieutenants and everyone around, when it came to that portion of that particular activity within the mission, he then became basically the guy in charge. And then, because he directed, told everybody what to do, and you better listen, because if not, this is a real charge. You're taking concertina to the face, right? So he went and set the charge and directed everybody, and it detonated. It opened up the lane so we can breach it. And as soon as the charge was gone, and he went back to becoming, just a member of the team, and the chain of command reverted back to the way it was before the charge, right? So, and I think that's what you're talking about, is when you've got people that are specialists in their field, or they are skilled in a particular event or knowledge base, and they come in, even if you're senior to them, or even if you're that person and you're junior to everyone else, then you need to step up and kind of lead up the chain of command, and everyone should follow suit and respect that knowledge and position and experience that you have.
Right.
And then,
absolutely.
And that's the thing, is it's difficult sometimes to relinquish authority and to give authority. And I think the military, for veterans listening to this, a lot of veterans struggle with trying to figure out how to convert their military experience into civilian terminology and experience that civilian companies are looking for as advantageous to their organization. And this is one that's very largely overlooked, and that is your ability in the military. If you spent any amount of time in the military, you've gone through iterative processes where you've had to give authority and relinquish authority. Give authority, relinquish. I mean, it starts in basic training. One day you are a follower, and next minute, the drill sergeant points at you and says you are now the squad leader for the next until you get fired, right? So now all of a sudden now you got to lead everybody. So when you're like, that was the saying, when in charge, be in charge. When not, follow. So you're constantly learning this ebb and flow of leading and following. And it's not like once you become a leader, you're always a leader.
Well, yeah, sometimes, because, you gotta, it's a lesson that we're taught in the military.
Right.
That to be a leader, you have to follow.
Right.
You have to be a good follower.
Right.
Because you're not always going to be the leader. And
right.
Nor do you want to be.
Correct.
Especially in that, again, what is that? Comes down to ego as the enemy to an extent. Is that some people think that just because they're not in charge, they're looked down upon or whatever,
Yeah.
It's exhausting, frankly.
And that's a hard lesson to teach people, though, because especially as a manager, I have several directs, and I want each of them to get that leadership experience. And so if I say, all right, you're in charge of this particular project, and the rest of us are going to follow your lead, because of my experience, I have that ability to relinquish that command and authority to that direct of mine. But the other direct, their peer, oftentimes finds it difficult to follow the direction of the other direct. And a lot of it just comes down to that experience, not having the experience to follow the direction of a peer and look at them and consider them to be the leader in that particular instance, right? So I think as a manager, if you're a supervisor or manager of an organization and you have directs, I think you should exercise that a little bit in your team. And it's not easy. It's easier said than done. But I think it's a necessary thing for professional and career development, because the biggest failing that I see in a lot of organizations is this idea that all of a sudden a really good individual contributor will one day get promoted to manager. And it's like they wake up, like they get promoted that day, and then all of a sudden they go home, they wake up the next day, and they now have a new title. They now have new responsibilities. They've got a new function within their organization. And they show up at work, and all of a sudden, they're now a manager. The day before, they were individual contributor. Now they are now a manager, right? And those are exciting times in anyone's career. I totally get it. Unfortunately, if you were an individual contributor and you were never afforded the opportunity to lead, to be in charge, to direct as a manager while you're an individual contributor, then that promotion on paper doesn't automatically give you the knowledge and experience to be a manager, right? And that's the biggest failing that I see, like I said, is people will promote really good individual contributors into manager roles, but they fail as managers because they were never afforded the opportunity to lead while they were individual contributors. So if you're an individual contributor and you've got an opportunity for a promotion to manager, but you've never led a team, you've never been put in charge of a project or anything like that, then I would be very hesitant to take that promotion, because chances are you're going to really, really struggle. And at the end of the day, people aren't going to look at you and be like, oh, well, this guy is a new manager. He keeps making mistakes. He keeps failing, but he's new in his role. No one's going to give you that courtesy of or leeway to say, oh, he's a new manager. He's going to make a mistake. They're going to just expect you to manage and expect you to lead and expect you to know what you're doing. And if you've never been taught, how are you going to ever learn that? So I think that's a big gap in our corporate environment. Some companies do a much better job of this than others in terms of professional development within their organization at all levels. Sometimes if you're in an organization and they don't actively have programs by which they do that for you, then you're going to have to go and do that on your own. And you're going to do that through self-education, or take the initiative and go find some people within your organization that you highly respect and approach them about becoming a mentor to you on a temporary basis. And I'm not going to get into the specifics on that, but there are ways that you can approach this topic and become a more effective leader when it comes time to actually get that promotion. So you want that experience before you get the promotion, not the other way around.
Absolutely agree. Because you only know what you know.
That's right. And that's part of leading up to chain of command. It's going to your boss and saying, hey, I have career aspirations here. I would like to one day become a manager, but I recognize that I may not have the skill sets today that I need to be successful as a manager. What can I do to stretch my legs, to stretch my capabilities, and to get some experience as a manager? And if your manager's, doing his or her job, they should say, oh, absolutely, that's good to hear. Let me work on some plans of action to kind of help you develop those skill sets. So that's kind of leading up and down the chain. Hold on. There is... Yeah, so that's really basically it. So there's three takeaways within leading up and down the chain of command in the book, and it says, the major factors to be aware of when leading up and down the chain of command are these. Number one, take responsibility for leading everyone in your world, subordinates and superiors alike. That's extreme ownership. Number two, if someone isn't doing what you want or need them to do, look in the mirror first and determine what you can do to better enable this. And finally, number three, don't ask your leader what you should do. Tell them what you are going to do. And that's a different position. A lot of people are very timid or scared about doing that. But I think it goes a long way, because the leader wants to see and to hear from you your thought process. Like I've had directs come to my office multiple times and say, I got a problem. Yes, you do. What are you going to do to fix that problem? I'm not going to give you the answer. I could.
I'm not going to baby you.
Right.
This is again, that's abrasion.
Right.
It's the possibility of failure, which is the way that we learn.
Well, and I think a lot of people, we've talked about this several times, is lazy, right? If I got a problem or I don't know how to go about something and I go to my boss and I say, what should I do? And if my boss provides me with direction and then I go do that and it doesn't work, guess whose fault it is? That in my mind, it's not my fault. It's my manager's fault, because my manager's the one that told me that I should do it this way and it didn't work.
Well, I know for me, if I'm given a task, let's just say, right, and this is the way, I'm just giving you my mindset, because this is what I do in real life, is I give people lessons that I've learned myself, right? Mm-hmm. So the big lesson that I've learned, hold on. I had to move my mic without making a huge noise.
Okay.
So, because it's like right in my face. Is we are living in a time where there's more information available at your fingertips than ever before. Right?
Yeah.
So use any time you're giving a task that you're uncomfortable with, which could be fairly often, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going back to my boss until I have worked through every available, if I have time, obviously. Time sensitive stuff is, you have to approach it differently. But if you have time, work through it on your own And I think too often people, if they don't have the answers, they're looking to their bosses or whatever to like give them the answers, which is a good practice. But my question as a leader would always be, so did you look here? Did you look here? Did you look there? And I'd give them the tools, and then I'd make them go look back. And you've already alluded to that and talked to that. But what I'm trying to get people to understand is that you have the most powerful informational tools available to you just in your freaking cell phone. Mm-hmm. If you have a question, type that shit into Google. And you will, more than likely, find the answer.
Right.
And then learn how to, even lessons learned in other, it might not be specifically perfect to your situation, but it might be like, here's the answer and this is how they dealt with it, but they're in a different field. Let's not be so close-minded, right? And that's another problem that I'm finding with folks nowadays is this, like, blinders. Like, they literally, like, I'm all about staying in your lane, but when it comes to knowledge, there is no lane, right? Yeah. So open your mind. So I posted a really good post, and I think I did it in the Change Your POV Instagram page and on Facebook. It's like, your mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work unless it's open.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
You're right.
So go into life, go into work, go into all this with your mind open to, hey, figure it the fuck out on your own. Like, you'll be way better off than seeking the answers from someone else. So someone else, you're seeking it for someone else to give you the answer when you could find the answer yourself. Now, and here's the thing. I hear people saying, well, other people are giving you the answer if you're out seeking for it. You know what the fuck I mean.
Right.
Okay? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're that limited in your open-mindedness. What I'm saying is without directly asking someone, go find the answer, because I'm sure it's in the freaking Google machine and the internet somewhere. The World Wide Web has the answer for you. You just have to go find it. Don't be fucking lazy. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, man.
And I think that's a huge, again, I don't think people understand we do it on this podcast even. Oh, what year did we did it on the last episode. What year did Top Gun come out?
86.
But we didn't know that because
right.
until we went to the Google machine that I had in my motherfucking hand. I said, what year did Top Gun come out? 1986. I didn't have to say Eddie.
Right.
Dude, look it up for me or whatever. Stop limiting yourself.
Right.
I just think people aren't. Expand your mind. And you know what? You're going to retain that information because you're the one that went and found it.
I think we live now in a culture of handout society.
A little bit. I can see that.
It's people just want it all given to them instead of going and getting it for themselves. I literally answer my children now, Dad, what's this? I'm like, did you look on the internet? Right.
Seriously, that's my answer to a lot of stuff. And if they can't find it, I was like, I'm literally over there. Like, where did you look? Show me. And if they did it lazy, I'm like, nope, check it out. I mean, here's how you need to phrase it and plug it into Google.
Yep.
And boom. Everyone's like, but people come to me because I'm good at doing research. Right?
Well, here's a perfect example: resume writing. Right?
Oh, Jesus! Don't even get me started.
Do you know how many people come to me and want me to review their resume? And instead of doing that right off the bat, I've created an actual go learn how to write your own resume training called 7-Day Resume that's free on Teachable. Right? Anyone out there can go to 7-Day Resume on Teachable and take this course. And it will actually walk you through step by step everything that you need to do, everything you need to look at to create your own really good resume. And I say it's really good not because I created it, because
recruiter ready.
It's right. I've had several people.
You say several, but it's like dozens and dozens.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of. It's like triple digits. So that's more than a few.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just trying to be a little.
Stop your
humble.
fucking humility, and there you go.
But there's been a lot of people that have taken that advice and actually went through and did the effort of creating their and they get incredible feedback. I've had people come back to me and say, the recruiter said this is the best resume that they've ever reviewed, or the hiring manager said that the way that the resume was laid out really helped them make a decision to go to them versus a different candidate. I've had, and I'm talking like really big jobs and small individual contributor jobs that people have been able to land based off of and again, a resume doesn't guarantee a job. Your resume guarantees a good resume will give you better chances of getting an interview, which is the ultimate goal of a resume.
It's a foothold.
Right. And it's up to you to be successful in an interview. Correct. But I've had people reach out and say, hey, I heard you're really good with this. Could you review my resume? I'm like, no, here's the training. Go write it yourself. And a lot of people are like, and they don't do it. It's because
Eddie, what can I pay you to write my resume for me?
Right. And
seriously?
You lose so much value in doing it for yourself, because if you go and do it yourself, you not only learn more about you and your capability, but you also learn more about how your experiences in the past are beneficial to the hiring manager or recruiter.
Use it as an introspective tool.
Right, because here's the deal. Can I write your resume for you? Yes, I absolutely can. But when it comes time to so the resume that I can write you will increase your chances of an interview. But when you walk into that interview, you will not be able to talk to the resume the way it was written because you didn't write it. I did, right? But if you go through the effort yourself and you go through the steps and you're doing that analysis, you're doing those brainstorming sessions, you're rewording your resume bullet points in order to achieve a higher score, because I developed a bullet statement scoring process so you can actually score your bullet statements for impactfulness. And you put quantitative and qualitative information and you front load your bullet. I mean, there's all these things, right? These tools. If you don't learn how to do that yourself, when you're sitting across the table from that prospective employer or that hiring manager or recruiter, and they start, and the only reason you're there is because they're really intrigued by your resume that you, oh, by the way, didn't write, then when they start asking questions about, the thought process on, how you were able to do these things, you won't be able to talk to it because you won't even know how that information came to be. But if you go and do it yourself and you've done that work, then when you're sitting across that table from that recruiter or hiring manager and they ask those questions, you know exactly what they're asking and you know exactly how to answer it, and it makes you so much more prepared for that interview. That's where people find the success in landing the jobs. It isn't in the resume itself, it's in their ability to talk about their skill sets and the value that they bring to an organization through the process of writing their resume the way I teach it in an interview. And so, that's what I'm saying. Go out there and do the work, because the value is in the work, not in the result. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a long way of saying quit being lazy.
At the end of the day, too, I've used so I've done 3 separate resumes using the system. And that's what I'll call it, the system.
The system, yeah.
And all 3 of those were for specific jobs, and I got an interview every time.
Right.
I didn't necessarily get the job. One of them, it was weird. I got interviewed, they checked my references, and I didn't get the job, which I've never had happen in a federal job before. Yeah. But either way, but either way, man, I mean, it did what it's supposed to do, and that's get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
So you can sell yourself, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And that's the other thing is, use it not just necessarily as a resume writing tool, but especially you need like a bio page.
Right.
Right? So use it to do the work to write a bio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really will search and learn about yourself and what your actual experience is. And that's one of those things that a lot of military members have issues with, is translating their skills, and looking at it from a different view. That's all. It's just amazing. So plug for you, my friend.
Well, thanks. It really wasn't that. I mean, use it, don't use it. It's up to you. But
today's podcast brought to you by 7-Day Resume.
7-Day Resume. Yeah. So I had a good buddy of mine, Andrew, buddy of ours, Mr. Andrew McDowell. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got a buddy that's separating from the military and is looking for some
he
guidance."
Reached out to me too, and I haven't responded. What a dick. Anyway, keep going.
And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And so I've connected with the guy, and we're working on scheduling some time to kind of go through, and he already has a resume, and I read through it, and there's some really good content in there, but there's a lot of room for improvement. He's not seeing a lot of success with that particular resume. I know why, because I've read probably thousands of resumes at this point, and I've talked with many hiring recruiters and hiring managers, and I know and I've hired myself plenty of times, and I know exactly what hiring managers and recruiters are looking for in a resume. And if you've never been taught that, then you're they call resume writing a black box, right? And if you look up the term black box, you'll see what that really means. But it's a process or an activity that happens behind the curtain, and you're never really given access to see what it is behind the curtain that people are doing or how it's created. And
part of this is job specific too. Like, you need to really read. You can't just write a resume and then hand it out to everyone. It doesn't. I mean, you can, but this is why people will be like, I've sent out 30 resumes and I've only heard from 2.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That's because you have to tailor, and it literally takes a few minutes for each resume. You have to tailor that resume to the job.
Right.
Reason being, and you can back me up if I'm wrong on this. Unfortunately, companies, especially big companies, are using AI. They're using filtering software to go through resumes, because they get hit with like a great position for a job. Basically, almost any job making $60,000 or more, they're almost surely running it through, because they have like 2 positions open, and they probably got 300 resumes. Okay.
Right.
So they have to, there's no way physically a hiring manager can go through and read all those resumes. This is why you also have a 1-page resume. We could do this on another show, because we have. Go back in our podcast archives and look. So 1-page resume saves time for the hiring manager, but they've put it through this filter. If you don't have certain keywords within your resume, that AI, that freaking filtering program is going to kick it back, and you're never going to see the light of day. So this is a lesson on why you have to take 10 minutes and match up as many keywords with the job announcement as you do with the resume. Am I right on that?
No, you're absolutely right. And there's ways to do that where it makes sense, and then there's wrong ways to do it.
Of course, there's like the plug and play bullshit.
Yeah, it's called the keyword stuffing, right?
Yes.
And any recruiter, hiring manager can see right through that. But here's a perfect real world example. My father-in-law was looking for a job, and he has extensive experience in the mining industry. I'm talking like big mine, like coal mines, gold mines. Back in Wyoming, Nevada area, right? So the huge mining operation. So he's got extensive experience in mines. He also has really extensive experience as a long haul truck driver, hauling grain and feed and things like that across long distances. And so he was just looking for a job, and there was an opportunity for a mine job that opened up, and I helped him with his resume. and basically interviewed him and kind of got some information from him and got the technical terms, because I've never worked into mine, so I don't know. But I just listened, and I kind of helped craft his resume around this mining position. And he got an interview and went in, and he never ended up getting that job, but he got the interview, right? And then another job became available, and it was around truck driving, which he also has experience in. And he wanted to just use the resume that I helped him with for the mining for the truck driver. I was like, no, don't do that. He's like, why not? It was written really well. I said, yes, it was, but it was written for the mining position, not for the trucking position. Because at the end of the day, and this is the biggest piece that a lot of people miss, your resume is not for you. It's about you, but it's not for you. A lot of people fall in love with the resume and they write it for themselves. They write it so when they read it, they get this huge ego boost because it makes them, walk on water and float on clouds, right? And they just love it.
But
it's for themselves.
In reality, no one gives a fuck.
No one gives a fuck. I don't care about all your accomplishments and certificates. What does that do for me as a hiring manager? What value does that bring to this position working for me? None. And
I'm not really bad. We're really bad with that in the military because, yes, we cared that you're Medal of Honor recipient,
right?
But actually, in the real world, that doesn't translate. It just doesn't translate into usable skills. Yes, you're brave. Yes, you did what you had to do in the heat of the moment. Yes, right. You're a special person. You are a beautiful, unique snowflake. But unfortunately, it doesn't further their, unless you're out there as a representative of the company, right?
Right, yeah.
And being the speaker for them, you still have to have the skills to speak.
Yeah, right.
You guys understand what the fuck I'm saying? I don't have to.
Yeah, no, I've reviewed veteran resumes, and half of a page was listed out all of their
straight out
awards.
of their "I Love Me" book of all the awards they've won.
Yeah,
nobody even knows what the fuck you're talking about.
And
nobody knows what. Nobody, unless you're able to put your Bronze Star citation into the resume as like a second page, which they won't even look at.
Right.
You don't put your awards on a fucking resume. You just don't. Now,
and I
keep
told
that
this
to
guy,
yourself.
I told this guy, I was like, this is great, but nobody gives a shit. And he had said he was completely offended.
And people get totally offended by that.
Totally
and
offended.
We're sorry, but
He's like,
but that's the reality. Like, that's the reality.
One gives a shit about your military awards and accomplishments. They just don't. And they're like, but I was like, no. Listen, here's a job. You're trying to convince an organization that the skill sets that you bring to the table are valuable to them in this. At the end of the day, every job posting is a pain point. It's a problem that an organization is trying to solve. That's all it is. And if you, as the potential candidate for that position, cannot solve that problem for that organization, at the end of the day, your military awards does not solve that problem for them. It just doesn't. Because no matter how many awards you have, it's not going to make that capacity constraint or the job function that you're trying to fill, less painful for them.
Exactly.
People just can't connect the dots sometimes when it comes to their resume in that position. And like I said, your resume is not for you. It's for that position. You are trying to demonstrate that you have the skill sets and abilities that they're looking for in order to solve the problem that they have currently.
And if you can't do that, your resume is going in the proverbial trash.
It is. Garbage.
And then you're like, nobody wants to hire a veteran. Nobody,
right.
You get all butt hurt.
Yep.
But
yep.
It has nothing to do with you. It's not personal. It has nothing to do with you. Thank you for your service.
Yep.
You're an amazing human being for what you've done. But again, that doesn't make people money.
Yeah.
It doesn't add to the bottom line of a company. Unless you're Dakota Meyer
Right, exactly.
Or one of these other guys that can use that. They've become a brand upon themselves.
Yeah.
And companies can use that to sell more product. But don't get me wrong. That's what they're doing. They're using that person's fame to sell more product.
Yep.
Simple. That is a skill because they've developed a brand. That Medal of Honor helped do that, right?
Yeah.
And Dakota's very good at getting that message out. He's like humble and seemingly a good dude at the base of it, a good father, yada, 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 right?
Well, it's like, so here's a perfect example. So I read a resume from a veteran, and he was trying for a corporate position in supply chain planning, right? And his resume listed out the fact that he was selected as an NCOIC, or non-commissioned officer in charge of 8 railhead operations, due to deployments, whether to NTC or combat deployment. So he was like on the railhead loading up vehicles. I've done that job many times. I know exactly.
And if he uses the acronyms, nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about.
So yeah, that's a pretty hefty responsibility, being the NCOIC of railhead operations, and the fact that he has been selected and he's done it 8 times. That says a lot, right? And I told him, I was like, that's great, but that has nothing to do with the job that you're going for.
But right.
What was
the job?
It was like a supply chain planner.
Yeah, so if you're a supply chain planner, you have to be good at what? Planning logistics, planning this.
Right. And tying down chains on the train. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was like, so one of two things. Either one, if you're applying to a job as an actual railhead operator, because there's civilian jobs that actually do that, right?
Yes.
So if you're applying to a job as a civilian railhead operator, then this is a very valid bullet statement on your resume that you should include, right? Because it's relevant to the job.
Well, it's even relevant to that job because there's tons of planning that goes into it.
But he didn't talk about that piece of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so that's
the
what
point.
I'm saying is translate it to the pertinent information, right?
Right. The piece of the job that's relevant, you need to figure out what that is and convey that piece. The fact that you had 8 railhead operations is irrelevant to the supply chain planning job. But logistics is still logistics. So if he had talked about the manifest and the deadlines and the timetables of deploying the trains, because there's a schedule involved. There's actual legitimate logistics involved with railhead operations. And if he was a part of any of that, that would be relevant to a supply chain planning job.
Which, if he was at least a squad leader, billet, he basically ran that motherfucker. So he did a lot of logistics.
He was a captain, so he was actually.
So he did even more shit, know? So, yes, pretty amazing stuff. You just have to know how to show that to an employer.
Absolutely. So that's it, man. We're going to wrap it up here. Kind of got down a little bit of rabbit hole towards the end here. But the takeaway here is do the work yourself, and you're going to get – it's about the journey, not about the destination. You're going to learn a lot more about yourself and about selling yourself. And, back to the book, you got to plan. You got to make a strategic plan, and you got to learn to lead up and down the chain of command and demonstrate those. If talking about planning and leading up and down a chain of command, those are 2 valuable skill sets. And if you have the ability to demonstrate that in a resume, those are highly valued skills that any hiring or manager or recruiter would be looking for. So you've got experience doing that. You just got to articulate it in a way that shows value to that organization. So on that note, I totally didn't expect this to be a recruiting, hiring type of discussion towards the end, but kind of it turned into that, which is interesting about these
never a bad thing.
These non-scripted episodes, long-form episodes that we're doing. We end up talking about shit we have no idea we're going to land on, but there you have it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Great conversation, and stay tuned. Next week, we're going to wrap up Extreme Ownership. We're going to do chapters 11 and 12, final 2 chapters. And,
allegedly.
Allegedly, right. And put this book to bed. and then we'll start on a different conversation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, man. Until next time.